Hi, it's Megan. I have another one of my kerosene fragrances. I say mine just because I put them on the Essential Beauty website, so you can get them there, and I'll put a link in the description to this video. But then also, I think because I like them, so I say mine for that reason. So this is Copper Skies, and so they come in this beautiful little bag. It's like a, I don't know, plush velvety bag. And then you pull it out, and you got 3.4 ounces. And what's really amazing about these is that the creator of Kerosene Fragrances, John Pegg, he actually paints these himself. And he has to do a base paint, and then he does automotive paint, and then he does kind of a finish paint. And the reason why he has to use like a heavy duty paint like automobile paint, he told me, is because the perfume will eat away at other types of paint. And then from what I understand, he hand makes these beautiful copper fragrance names. And so this one is a unisex fragrance. It's probably, I think, of the ones I've smelled, I've smelled them all, or almost all of them. It's a little bit more on the masculine side, so it's unisex heading into a little bit more masculine. And so this, they say the notes are amber, cedar, sweet tobacco leaves, honeycomb, basil, and cloves. And that is so true. So the amber, it's supposed to be an amber scent, so you have to like kind of that resin bit that you get with amber. I do like amber. I don't know if it's my favorite, but what really amazes me about this, as with all the kerosene fragrances, is how it evolves and wears on you. So what I smell when I first spray it on is something that's overpowering, and then it just kind of morphs in the first 15 minutes to just this really warm, rich, exotic fragrance, and then it softens a little bit, but it's still kind of got that edginess going on. This is, I don't know, I read some people saying it's one of the more accessible ones, some of the least accessible ones. I thought it was a really one of the more unusual ones. So when I first spray it on, I'm the only person I've seen in any review say this, I smell curry. And I smell a little bit of exhaust, and I smell kind of patchouli, and I smell the amber, and I smell the cloves, and a little bit of cedar, that woodiness, kind of that rich woodiness you get with cedar. Tiny bit of tobacco, but it's more like burning tobacco as opposed to that kind of, you know, my grandfather used to smoke a pipe when I was a kid. There's that damp, rich, heady tobacco. This is more like a burning tobacco. It reminds me, actually, when I first spray it, of India. When I visited India, it has that same kind of exotic spice, exhaust, burning something, you know, just really attention grabbing, and not in a bad way. And then as I wear it, it just morphs, and that's where I get kind of something sweet and earthy and rich, and the honeycomb and the basil start coming through. I read someone saying beeswax. I'm like, yeah, you know, maybe. And then someone also said warm sweetness, dry, mature, and dusty. And that's one of the things that's really kind of amazing about the kerosene fragrances, is that no matter what the note or the, you know, scents in it, even the sweeter ones don't have that cloying sweetness. It's more like just that little hint of rich sweetness, warm sweetness, not that cloying. I mean, he's even had ones with honey, I think, and it doesn't smell overly sweet, but it's that darker, warmer feel. The cloves I actually had to consciously smell for, because it really smells a little bit like a fire burning in India, really. And no one else said patchouli either, by the way. So, and I do read other reviews before I write, or before I do these. I have everything written here, just to see if I'm totally crazy. And obviously, since I am saying things that no one else has said, if it's totally crazy, I still say it, but I at least want to hear what others say. Pungent spiciness, warm sweetness. A few people said licorice and balsamic. I didn't get that. I did get the basil. But basil is just not one of the first like 10 things I would say about it. It's such a tiny little bit of basil. And a little dark, yeah. And I did like that kind of initial burst of exhaust, which really does smell a little bit like gas, yeah. That's what exhaust is. And it kind of fits the kerosene kind of story about how John Pegg is in Detroit, you know, with the auto industry and kind of post-industrial. This to me is the fragrance of all of the kerosene ones that really kind of fits that story, right? It's a little bit dark, it's a little bit kind of smoky, it's a little bit car-ish, it's a little bit exotic, it's a little bit sophisticated. It's got that kind of spices, but again, with a lot of the kerosene fragrances, it's not the spices that you smell and everything. Like, I have yet to smell one that's super cinnamony, or, you know, the stuff that we just get not too much of. And then the amber in this is just a really rich amber. Not so sweet, it's a tad smoky, and it's not, as much as this is supposed to be an amber scent, I didn't feel like this was in your face amber. Sometimes amber to me can be a little one-dimensional if it's not done right, and I didn't get any of that here. It's really balanced out with the basil, the cloves. And another thing I read is that it smelled a little bit gingerbread. I didn't get that either. And to me, it didn't smell like anything. There's some, I'm reading another couple notes I had, and I didn't really think that it smelled like anything else. So anyway, I really like this. It lasted beautifully. Most of the kerosene fragrances do. They have that kind of niche indie perfume feel where, you know, it's a little bit more intense in the fragrance. It's not that watered down stuff that we sometimes often get at the bigger department stores. And so this wears a good 10 to 12 hours, but it starts out with like that burst of curry, and it feels like India with the exhaust, and then it really does, I'm smelling it now, it does really come more to a tobacco amber, slightly spicy, touch of sweetness, just a really sophisticated, not leathery exactly, but that sort of a feel, a little bit masculine. And then it wears like that, morphing a little bit on me over the next 8 to 10 hours. Much less aggressive, but still very distinctive, unusual, a little bit masculine, but still wearable by a girl, in my opinion. So anyway, that's the end of this review. You can get this a lot of places. You can get it on my website, Essential Beauty, and put a link to that in the description of this video. I would love to hear your thoughts on this scent, or if there's any of the kerosene or other fragrances I should smell. I would love to hear that as well. Thoughts, comments, suggestions on any of them. And please do subscribe on YouTube because that helps me a lot.